people often ask me, so why did you decide to write a book and why now? And it's kind of a long-winded story, but I always think it's worth telling that I didn't want to write a book. It actually was not on my vision board, on my goals, or any of that. I was quite content trying to figure out life as a mother, a wife, a businesswoman, and a leader in different spaces. And I got approached by the publisher and they said, "We think you've got a story to tell." And I remember thinking, "Oh my goodness, about what?" And the publisher said, "Well, we think you've moderated such important people in the world, from presidents to the likes of Bill Gates, Melinda Gates. You've moderated Michelle Obama. Surely you can write a book about all of the amazing lessons that you've learned from these people." And while I thought it was a fantastic idea, I knew that I didn't have the capacity to do it. I didn't have the bandwidth. I was still traveling a lot. My son was still very young, and I just didn't think the timing was good. So I kind of shelved it for a moment. And then the other thing that happened that triggered me towards a yes was a fight with my husband. Actually, we were hosting friends for dinner. And at some point in the conversation, my husband says, "No, babe, tell them your story." And I'm like, "What story?" He's like, "Your story." I said, "Excuse me? Like, what are you going on about?" And I really didn't know what this guy was going on about. And so once our guests had left that evening, I'm like, "Babe, what are you going on about asking me to tell people my story?" And I watched the shock horror on his face as he realized that I really didn't think I had a story to tell. And he literally had to sit me down and say to me, you actually haven't had a normal, I don't want to call it an upbringing, but you've survived so much in your life that it actually isn't normal. And because you've probably survived so much, you've probably normalized survival,
Yeah.
and you haven't really paused to think about how much you've achieved in a short period of time, notwithstanding. And I think that's the essence of my story. It's notwithstanding. There were so many things stacked up against me, being born is Bovini, being caught in the violence, Emma Congo, growing up in the violence of Eastwood. How does one come out of all of that and find themselves where I am? And I think it was a combination of all of these events. And then the last straw that broke the camel's back, I actually heard a song. And the song is actually by an artist called Once More Six. And the song is called, in English, it's translated as I Have a Testimony, Ginobufagas. And I remember really listening to that song and realizing that I actually don't have the right to not tell my story.
Yeah.